Okay, I'll call this meeting to start. Welcome to the Planning Advisory Meeting for September 9th, 2025, 6 o'clock. Any time that anybody from the audience has anything to say, just raise your hand. We need a name and a address put in our minute of the meeting also. Do we have anybody on?
We do not know.
All right. All right, so I'll call it to order. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? No? Okay, the adoption of the agenda, everybody's had it, we're good.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Roland Larrabee. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on September 9th, 2025 be adopted as per.
Be good. Carried.
Yep.
All the minutes. Adoption of the minutes.
It is moved by Dan Gagne and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting held on August 7th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Everybody had a chance to read up on the minutes. Everything is good. All right. Everybody in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to our zoning bylaw application 5.1 ZBLA 2025/11. Michelle Diane Shane.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon, seconded by Dan Gagne, whereas a public meeting was held on September 9th, 2025 for the purposes of amending zoning bylaw 2014-45. And whereas written concern or objections have been received to the proposed amendment, be it resolved that the Planning Advisory Committee for the Municipality of West Nipissing recommends that the Council for West Nipissing Municipality adopts the proposed zoning bylaw to rezone a portion of the property at 880 Canal Road, and more particularly shown on the attached sketch, and that Schedule H4-2 of bylaw number 2014-45 shall be amended by changing the zoning designation of the property shown on Schedule A attached here 2, which property is more particularly described as part of Lot 8, Concession B, Part 1, Plan 36R 13193, Municipality of West Nipissing, from rural residential with hazard overlay to tourist commercial exception zone 2 with hazard overlay. So I'll just pull up my presentation here to show you where we're looking. So this property will look fairly familiar to everyone. So back in July, this front portion here was rezoned from shoreline residential to tourist commercial. And then at the previous committee of adjustment meeting, this orange portion was added as a lot addition to that commercial land. And as a condition of the consent, it was required that they rezone the land that was being added to C3 as well, so that they didn't have a split zoned properly. There is a petition in front of you that was received from a local neighborhood, and I believe that there's someone here tonight that will speak to that, so I will leave that to them to speak to. And if there's any questions or concerns, I'm more than happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions from our
Can I just get clarification? Because it was a couple of months ago, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear.
Yeah.
So 880 was the property, and we already did a zoning amendment change on that from rural residential to C3.
So 880 is the land that it's coming from.
Okay.
So
And it's being attached onto
the one there?
This one here.
910.
Yes. So there was a consent or a lot addition.
Yeah.
That's this smaller portion behind as well. That was in July.
Okay.
And then the main property that's being added to was rezoned in July. And then this lot addition was approved by committee last month. And it's coming from this strip.
Which is going to just remain as a standalone shoreline residential.
It is a rural residential.
Okay.
That's what it was, and there's only a very small sliver on the adjacent side. But if there's a concern with it remaining, okay.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Anybody else from our panel? Go ahead now.
So Samantha, are all the three pieces going to be together as one piece of parcel? Is that the request?
That is the request that the Committee of Adjustment handled, yes.
Okay.
So now they're just looking to rezone this piece.
Yep.
The piece that was added previously onto 910, that has already, the zoning's been changed on that to C3.
Was added from a parcel that was already a C3 zone, so it didn't meet. the
Okay, and so 910, we did a zoning by law amendment on that already, that's C3.
Yes, that was the one that was done in July.
Okay, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
For you, Mr. Chair. Did all of the properties that are adjacent to the property in question, the 880, receive notification by mail of the zoning bylaw change, or is that?
That is required, and yes, that notification, that mailing list was sent out.
Sorry, the paper that I had to distribute.
What's your name, sir?
Sorry, Dave Pilon, 886 Mill Road.
Okay,
The 3-page document that I asked have you guys sent out shows the measurement from 910 with the 120 meters, the properties that should have been notified, and they were not notified of the change to 910 changing to C3.
okay, so from 910. Is 900 part of this property?
900 is not.
Okay, so it's 910, the pie shape behind, and 880 is the part of this amalgamated.
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
All right,
So I just want to get all the facts on the table. So the 910, what date was that? That was done at Planning Advisory Committee because it was, and do you have the date of the meeting that that was done in? Okay, I mean, I remember.
Check really quickly, it would have been I think it was the 12th, like July 12th.
July 12th. Okay. And what is the notification distance on zoning application changes?
It's 120 meters.
Okay, and according to when the 910 was done back in July, was the notification sent to all properties within 120 meters?
It was not. My objection that it was not sent to 886 or 88. And if you measure from the back of that property, it also falls within the 120 meters, and they were not also not notified.
I would have to double check, but we do have that buffer tool on our mapping where we can create a 120 meter buffer, and then any properties that are caught within that buffer go onto a mailing list, and that letter was sent out.
Okay, and you can't pull up confirmation on which addresses that was sent out to at that time?
I could see if we have it in the file.
I think
Yeah.
it's just, I'd just like to know if there's claims that the notification wasn't sent out, you'd have record that it was.
Fair enough, yeah, I will double check after this. And then, so as part of that application, we send that notice in the mail to the property owners within 120 meters. And the applicants are also required to post a sign on the site which is clearly visible for that circulation duration. So anyone that would have driven past the property over the course of the 3 weeks would have seen that sign as well.
okay. I don't know what else to tell you, sir. It's supposed to be sent. You said you didn't get it. We'll have to check to make sure that it was sent. So do you have any comment to related to the application?
Absolutely, I have quite a presentation for the group when you guys are done your part.
Okay. Is there any more questions from our panel? Go ahead.
For that 120 meters, that was the prior lot that was approved. So this meeting here tonight is not, this is not in question. It's another lot. So
Correct.
I think we should from here on move on with this one here.
All right. So, go ahead, sir, if you have a presentation to do.
Just ask a question.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Were you notified of the 880 lot?
Yes.
Request? Okay.
Those notifications we. Everyone received those,
Okay, thank you.
but it's just the 9 notifications that no one got. The only person that didn't get it is 900 Canal Road.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Again, Dave Gillum, 886 Canal Road. I'm here representing myself along with my neighbors. Sorry, I'll put my glasses on. My neighbors that live adjacent to the parcel of land in question to be attached to 910, to be rezoned C3. We'd like the member of councilors and this committee to consider our petition to not allow the property to be severed from the property being severed from 880 Canal Road to be rezoned C3, therefore limiting the development of the property to residential. According to comments made in the August 7th meeting, it is possible to attach the property to 810 Canal Road and have it remain rural residential after it is attached. Allowing this property to change to tourist commercial would allow first a trailer park or a tourist cabins to be directly behind our properties and have a huge negative effect of our property values. Secondly, it would significantly increase the noise in our quiet residential neighborhood. And thirdly, and most importantly, this change would have a significant increase in the traffic on an already unsafe road. Our children, our grandchildren, and all pedestrians are at great risk with the speed and recklessness of the traffic. The traffic light is commonly traveling at more than twice the posted speed limit and often with their cell phones in hand. As you may be aware, our properties being 882 through 888, we own both sides of the road, where our children and grandchildren frequently cross to access the river. The danger to public safety became even more evident on July 20th this year when a police chase went through the area. A local man fled from the police, exited his pickup truck, and escaped on a watercraft. This was a well-advertised on the news. This man is one of the frequent speed violators in our area, and to this day continues to travel well above the speed limit. On August 11th of this year, retired OPP officer Rick Tass witnessed a car traveling at approximately 4 times the posted speed limit as his 9-year-old granddaughter was trying to cross the road. Rick reported to the OPP, and you have been provided with a detailed copy of his statement. I believe it's a 3-page statement that you guys should all have a copy of already. On September 3rd, mid-afternoon, as I stood on the side of the road waiting to cross the road, a black pickup truck traveling at approximately 40 kilometers an hour passed me. The driver, with cell phone in hand at chest level, never looked up at the road once. And I backed off of the road before he went by. Had I not moved, he would have passed at 40 kilometers an hour within 4 feet of me, not knowing I was standing there. Drivers on their cell phone is a very common thing in the area. I witness it every day.
Those are things you have to call the police department. That has nothing to do with something.
I think I skipped the page here. Maybe not. I have called the police many times, and I'll get to that somewhere if I didn't miss it. I must have missed a page here. Somewhere I missed it, but over the years, I've been there 10 years, and over the years, I've called the previous local police department many times, and I've called the OPP many times, and the best response I've ever gotten for them is to have speed bumps installed, which is not possible on a gravel road, and that is the answers I get. Fortunately, when Rick, the retired OPP officer, made the call, because he's a retired OPP officer and he knows people up there, there was a result there. The OPP did send a letter to the driver of that car, but that's as far as that went. Further regarding the rezoning, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but in July, 910 Canal Road was changed from shoreline residential to tourist commercial. This took place without the notification of the residents affected by the increase of traffic. The property is currently undergoing major changes where they're adding 8 cabins to that property. Simply posting it on a tree on the side of the road on a dead-end road is insufficient notification to residents. We have no reason to drive past our home. It's a dead-end road. There's no reason for us to go down there, no reason to see the tree. And on top of that, we are within the 120 meters and should have received notification. And just for your awareness, the documents that I did provide are from West Nipissing's website. The first one shows a line from the edge of 910 with a measurement that wasn't exactly 120 meters, was slightly over, but you can see it goes clearly through 888 and about 3/4 of the way through 886 Canal Road. So those properties should have been notified. And on the second page, if you measure from the back of 910 Canal Road, the 120 meters will actually fall into 884 Canal Road, which also was not notified. Had we been notified in advance that 910 was to be changed to C3 tourist commercial, I would have started a petition, and I believe that everyone from the end of the pavement would have signed a petition to stop that from happening, because everyone is terrified for their children and grandchildren. Many people put up signs to try and slow traffic down. They don't do it. The first house after the pavement actually had put up signs on slightly onto the road, and someone called the police on him, and the police made him remove it. There's nothing we can do to slow them down. I've asked people to slow down, and what I get is everything to get told where to go or flipped off, or they leave and drive even faster. Now I got to the section that I jumped over, that I thought I jumped over, about calling the police. So what we're asking is a few things. First, we would like the committee to not allow the property to be changed to C3, therefore limiting the development to residential and limiting the increase in traffic. Second, we would like the committee to provide written notification to all residents of any further changes that would increase the volume of traffic through our properties, including residents in the 25-kilometer-an-hour zone residing from the end of the pavement to Starlight Marina. Those are all the properties that are affected by vehicles traveling through their properties. To offer a solution to the problem, some 20 years ago, the residents of the area put great efforts and a lot of money into attempting to have the road moved to behind the properties. This eventually came to a dead end. There was one property owner that was against it. That property has since been sold, and the new owner is not against it. As a matter of fact, she's sitting back here. And we would like the municipality to take a serious look at moving the property. The third picture in what I sent you is from Google Earth, and you can see at the back here, you can actually see the road is already there. So back when the group was trying to move the road, one of the property owners was the owner of Sturgeon Brush, and he actually did put in the base of the road. It's all in place. It's a little bit grown in now because it's been quite a few years, but the base of the road is there. It would be putting a culvert to cross the creek at Starlight. and putting the top on it, the gravel, and connecting the driveways, which I'm pretty sure all the property owners would do their driveways at their expense. Yeah. In closing, please consider the safety of our children, grandchildren, and all the residents before approving this change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Paul, you have anything to add to this application?
The only thing I can add is that all of the surrounding properties are, other than the residences in question, are zone C3, including the lands even further behind this property. The 910, although it was rezoned from a residential to a commercial, it had previously been rezoned from a commercial to a residential, and we were simply returning it. There are a number of tourist resort operators along this stretch of road. Many have come and gone over the years, and the municipality has lost quite a few of their tourist commercial properties, just, you know, with COVID and whatever that's come along. So we think it's a good application. It's attached to a C3 zone as it is right now. And we asked your support for the operators to put a commercial resort back in the area. As has been pointed out, the owners are investing quite a bit of money into renewing the resort project. So it's a good application. The speed limits along the road, of course, that's, you know, perhaps there are a few unique individuals that becomes a police issue, but the same could be said of just about any road in the municipality or in my municipality.
Perfect.
So it's not uncommon.
Thank you.
Thanks for your.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to say something?
Yeah.
Okay. Just please state your name.
Name and
It's-
address.
My name is Nancy Holmes and I'm the new owner of 888. So, you know that property, or you may know, that property had a fire. I purchased the property for a pretty high market price for the condition that the building was in, and have done extensive renovations to the home itself, and which are not completed. But for me, I've invested quite a bit of money into this property, and now I'm gonna have a bunch of potentially trailers directly behind that house, creating a lot of noise, a lot more traffic. And I realize, yes, we're supposed to call the police when people are speeding. Are they gonna be able to catch that person at the time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's just the increased traffic in general, without moving the road and the noise. And also, I mean, how many people, if I decide to sell this house in 10 years, how many people are gonna want to move in to a house at the, you know, a value that I have invested into that house with a big trailer park? Like, yes, the road has other trailer parks, but those trailer parks are currently quiet. I don't know about the one at the end of the road because we're not close to it, but the one at the end of the road, I don't know what it's called, is a mess. Like, drive down there and it's a mess. There's debris everywhere. It's not well cared for. That's a potential thing. I'm not saying that you won't manage it well, but it's a possibility, and it's a possibility to have a bunch of people that don't care about the residents in the area and will cross our properties to get to the water, or encumber on our properties, or just even create noise. And for me, that's a concern. As you can imagine, if you have invested your own money into a property.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
If I can just add to
If it's something new, yes, go ahead.
the trailer park she was referring to, that's a disaster, is the one that belongs to Starlight Marina. That's all I want to add.
Thank you. Any more questions? Mark? Dan, you're good?
No, I got a question here.
Go ahead. Can't hear you.
After everything is said and done, this property that we're talking about was originally zoned commercial going back, what, 10, 15, 20 years ago? If I understand correctly. But having said that, if we have missed the ball here as far as our notification pending distances from the property that's petitioning for this zoning, we might want to defer until all of the owners that should have been notified are properly notified, and then we can probably carry on.
Thank you.
That's my comment.
Don? Thank you.
Just a comment on what Dan's saying. They're not talking about this application. They're talking about another application.
Previous.
The previous
The previous-
application for the actual zoning for the lot itself. And if they're talking about 910 where the cabins are going, that was zone commercial. That's why they didn't get a letter.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, if you go, I don't know if you guys go, if you get a different result, but if I go to the city's map currently, 910 is still showing a shoreline residential, not commercial. So I believe that last statement may be incorrect.
Is
Well, it's not-
910, I get the two addresses. You mentioned 8 cabins being, that is zone commercial. Tourist.
It is now, yes. It is since July.
Yes.
I,
So that's nothing.
Their other property beyond 910 was already zone commercial, but 910 was shoreline residential when it belonged to Mr. Larshay.
yeah, but the 8 cabins are not going on 910.
Well, that's where they are now.
No,
That's where all,
they're on the,
I live down the road. I drove there today.
yes, you're on, yes, you're absolutely right. Sorry. Yes, you're absolutely right. The garage is going on the one below. That was zone commercial.
Correct.
Thank you. Any more questions from our panel? No? Hearing none, I'll, oh,
Wait.
go ahead.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I remember years back when that road was supposed to be moved and it never happened. Maybe this council could look at it again. Have to be brought forward as a request. And if everybody's on board now compared to at the time, not all was on board. But with that being said, the infraction that you have on the roads are for the police to handle, not council. But
They won't.
I do, yes, but I do sympathize with the issue. And putting speed bump on a gravel road, just need to take a grader and just make whoops, because it's a gravel road.
Yeah.
So, and also with that being said, we are in dire need of trailer parks that are built legally with the proper septic system and everything, because since there was one big trailer park that closed, everybody started running all over the place. And we are faced with trailers not being safely installed. So if a gentleman would like to start a trailer park that wants to play the game the way it should be with proper septic system and everything, it's hard to say no to that. You know, I do feel that it's your resident and it's your back country, but with that being said, there is laws there to protect the noise if there's too much noise after a certain hour. So we need to enforce the laws. People need to call in and make it. At the end of the day, you will get some results.
Well, I've been calling for 10 years. There's no results.
It's sad.
We can't get the police to come. The police come once every day, maybe every second day, drive up the road and that's the end. The only day they spent any amount of time there is when the police case happened, because they were trying to get him when he came back. That's the only day I've ever seen the police there for more than 5 minutes.
I don't know what else I could tell you about this as far as I sympathize with you. But if this looks a proper place, maybe by moving the road, if council agrees, that would alleviate your problem down the road.
100%. If the road was moved, I would have no objection to the trailer park, because then I would have a 66-foot buffer from my property to the trailer park. And the road would be behind me, and my children and grandchildren would be much safer.
And it would open up your lot to the other side of the road lot, would be one big lot to the river. So could be.
And it would also help the people that are developing, having that road back there, instead of having them to drive through a narrow area through their property to access whatever they're building back there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of points to address with your permission, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
First of all, I don't know if we should be talking about moving the road. At this point, it'd be an incredibly complicated process because the city does not own any kind of road allowance there, which means we would have to acquire all kinds of property. And we know from some of the numbers that we were given in regards to different areas of the municipality where we have discussed moving roads, that the expense of that is extraordinary. The reality is that we cannot look at building new roads without there being some kind of money available. Like it's between the acquisition of the property in order to create a road allowance, even if the previous owner had gone through and done work on his own property, those properties are now owned by different people, and it would require an immense amount of legal work, real estate work, and then the cost of building a road itself is, I would, in my opinion, not attainable given the current financial situation within the municipality and all the other assets that we have. And that's a council discussion, but I think it's, to have that discussion, it's almost kind of pointless because the complexity of having that done is more than people think it is. Now, when you just said you wouldn't have a problem with the trailer park because there would be a road allowance of a certain distance that provided some protection. Are you able to pull up our zoning bylaw, Ms. Willett? Just so, because I'll have some questions. It doesn't need to be, I'll just have some questions in regards to the setbacks for commercial zoning, because it is within the purview of this committee to set conditions or special conditions in order to address some of the concerns about both setbacks, visual attenuation, and that sort of thing. So that is something I'd just like to ask, because residential is considered a sensitive land use next to when it's next to a commercial property. So, you know, there are things that the committee can do within our jurisdiction to address that. So if you could tell me what the current setbacks for, and I know with it being trailers potentially there, the setbacks don't necessarily come into play because there's not structures being built, but we can write into the approval that can we write something in where trailers, or that there has to be a landscaping buffer equivalent to what the setbacks are? Because that is a fully treed lot right now, right?
Yes, so when you're in the C3 zone and you're a side yard or a rear yard abutting residential zone, which in this case, where it's adjacent to those residential properties would count, there is a minimum of a 10-meter setback, so just over 30 feet.
Okay.
The closest structure, and that was part of the reasons that when we had done that lot addition, I had said about going to not doing a split zone, because if it was
it's a greater setback on the C3 than it is on the
Yes, exactly. And then if they were to construct a house or some residential use on that back property and then want to convert it later, you've got that legal non-conforming setback there. So that kind of ensures that you've got that buffer. And then there also is a landscape buffer requirement of 1.5 meters in depth. Ultimate height of at least 2 meters. That'll have to be along those property boundaries as well.
Okay, so that would be either a fence or if they left the natural tree buffer or whatever, is that correct?
Yeah, so the landscaping buffer is an unbroken planting of shrubs or trees. Yeah, but we could also encourage them to do a fence as well, if that would be.
10 meters is 30 feet, you said?
32, yep.
And can something be written into the thing where trailer placement cannot happen with it, like, because that only applies to structures, right? Like that applies to the issuance of building permits. Like the actual setback as written in the zoning bylaw is for structures. It doesn't necessarily address the placement of trailers. So even with that setback, without having something written in, they could actually place a trailer right on the property line because it's not a built structure. Is that correct?
I believe there is something speaking to it. I'm not sure if it's in the definition of a building or a trailer. There is something that requires them to be subject to those setbacks, but that's certainly something that can be written into that site specific zone just for some added insurance.
Do we want to add that, that buffer or that to before the trailers?
All right, so may I propose an amendment to the resolution at this point? And here, we'll just go through it first. So I'd like to propose that it be amended to clearly state that placement of any trailers, any structures that don't require a building permit, so sheds, I think that's covered anyway.
Yes.
Like, just make the language clear that the placement of any trailers or decks built onto those trailers respects the setbacks in zoning. But I don't know how you're gonna phrase that, because I'm rambling and that would be the longest amendment.
That's okay. And then that would be for all structures, trailers, decks, everything, because we do have obviously like, you've got your accessory structure.
It's a different setback for accessory structures. I think it should be written so that nothing can go within that.
Absolutely nothing.
That's what I would prefer, because it is like.
That's okay. I'm just trying to make sure we're clear.
You know,
Yep.
you have to remember too, that those lots are very small. You know, it's not a normal lot for a rural area as it would be. These are lots that are sometimes smaller than some of the lots that we see on cities, so that the impact of having a high traffic commercial against those is felt even more, because they don't have all of this space or yard or whatever to, you know, they have a very limited amount of land that they can enjoy as part of their property. So I don't think that having a setback,
So I could suggest one alternative is simply increase the vegetative buffer from the 1.5 to the 10 meter.
that would be perfect.
So that would preclude anything from being built or constructed within the 10 meters. It also ensures that you've got that additional sound mitigation
And visual attenuation as well.
as well. So that might be the easiest way to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that's actually that would be my preference all along, Paul, is it does keep it a little natural. And that 10 meters becomes like all the trees and stuff that you see within those 10 meters stay. And that would give you, you know, that much of a buffer between any activity, and it would prevent anything from being built there because it'd be full of trees, so.
It's also a good amenity feature for the people staying here, even as well, who wants to come to a vacation. So.
Do we have that in the,
Sorry, Dawn.
Don?
Sam, can you bring in an aerial overhead of that?
Of the property? Yeah.
Yeah.
One second.
please.
Oh, that's where that road allowance was. That's what you're gonna say, isn't it, Don?
That's what I was gonna say, plus the ditch. So you guys are all looking at this 10-meter buffer, which is wide open.
There are no trees there other than tag altars currently.
Yeah, so that's kind of where, like, I'm sure talking with the client that we can do something, but again, to put, you have a ditch, you know, as you can see, there's a ditch running alongside. Putting anything on the other side of the ditch except for a road with a culvert to get to the property, yeah, there probably is nothing that is gonna go there, but again, there was no real work right now. People are talking trailer parks and all of this. Don't know where everybody's getting this from. There was no mention of trailer park in this application. It's an addition to the C3. People can assume it'll be a trailer park. If their ideas of their cabins do work out, I think they're looking more at that. The trailer park was a discussion amongst us and our client, but they've never came in with a formal request to do a trailer park. They want the land to be able to do something with. Maybe it'll be a water park. I don't know. So I'm understanding where you people are coming from, but if you were here, I'm gonna say 30 years ago, when that place was clean and everything, all of those lodges were running, there was more than an abundance of people there. I understand you have lots, but you're in the middle of where this was all commercial. And those lots were there at the beginning. It's a history thing, and I think with what's happened down there is everything's gone to, and I'm gonna use a bad word here, crap. And there's a lot of guys trying to fix it up. And they're putting a lot of money, they're investing money, even between them and Starlight. You've seen the old cottages that are down there that are all broken apart. This is restoration. They're trying to bring back what we had before. I'm sorry, you guys probably weren't there at that time.
I was.
Yeah,
Thank you, Don.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Dave. So because the road is there, can we make that tree buffer the 10 or 30 meters in past, like after the road? Do you know what I mean? Like the existing road is there. Within that 120, can we make that buffer into the tree line? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like on the south side or the parallel to the road.
Parallel to the road, so that we still have that tree buffer.
I'm not sure if it's actually the road base that's in that location or if it's just where the brush was cut.
It's a road base with a ditch on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not going to grow up that quickly because of the material that's there.
But that's what I'm saying, like after the road.
Well, we'll,
The property.
I think we're okay with the 10-meter buffer anyways, because if they can plant trees or, you know, if the owner would be willing to put shrubs or trees there to alleviate that. Again, they're not saying what they'll do, so, and it has nothing to do with us if whatever they want to do with the property. So if we add that 10-meter buffer is, you know, we're looking up to you guys to make sure that you don't have nothing encroaching or closing your property. And at the same time, we're trying to help everybody else bring back the nature of that end of Canal Road, which been run down for quite a while now.
So my apologies, just if I may clarify, everyone, it appears, is in agreement with absolutely no structures, anything within 10 meters of that property line. So if we were to require a 10-meter landscaping buffer, they would have to have landscaping for the entirety of that 10 meters, which based on the ditch and the potential road base may not be feasible. So if we were to do the 10-meter setback for all structures, and then your bylaw still does have that 1.5 meter landscape buffer, so even if that's 15 feet or 15 meters away from the property line is where they can plant those trees, they will still have at least 1.5 meters tree line buffer.
The landscape buffer is written into the zoning bylaw.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. I would be fine.
Okay,
Since I'm proposing the amendment, I would be fine with that. I just want to make sure that nothing goes within even accessory structures or anything that no construction and no placement of any kind of temporary. I don't know how you would write that to address trailers if it was to be a trailer park, but or have trailers on the property, just that's basically a no man's zone or no man's land.
Yeah,
okay. Do you have a question?
I've got a comment. I was gonna agree with the mayor about the buffer. And if the road that's existing now, that in gravel, trees will grow in that, no problem. You can dig deep enough. So you could ask to have a tree line put in there. They'll have pine trees that will grow, no problem in there. So, or poplar or, so we could go with that 10 meter. And as long as they put trees in there, it'll be okay. In my view of this.
Okay. So, yes, sir?
One comment, if we briefly go back to moving the road. You mentioned that the acquiring the property would be a burden for the municipality. I would say that more than 95% of that road allowance would be donated, provided that the road in front of the properties are no longer used, because the same people that own the properties where the current road is own the properties behind, with the very tiny little bit of exception of actually our properties, or that would be the only exception to that. And I'm pretty much convinced that everyone would donate that land in order to get the road out from near the river.
I'll just say that,
Yeah.
I address that. It's not really an issue for this committee, as it would be a capital discussion for council.
Council.
Because that's a pretty major infrastructure project, and I will say we have a lot of competing priorities, I would say, as far as our infrastructure, which is unfortunate, but we have more stuff than we have money. Somebody could give me $50 million tomorrow and I could spend it. So, and that's one of the challenges.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, can I bring it to a vote? Anybody in favor of this application?
We need
Sorry.
to do a
Oh.
vote on the amendment first.
Yeah.
So there's she'll read the amendment. Yeah, she has it. I'm sorry.
that's no problem. Whereas a public meeting was held on September 9th, 2025 for the purpose of amending zoning bylaw 2014-45. Whereas written concerns or objections have been received to the proposed amendment, be it resolved that the Planning Advisory Committee for the Municipality of West Nipissing recommends that Council for West Nipissing Municipality adopts the proposed zoning bylaw to rezone a portion of the property at 880 Canal Road, that Schedule H4-2 of the bylaw be amended by changing the zoning designation of the property shown on Schedule A attached here too, which is more particularly described as part of Lot 8, Concession B, Part 1, 36R, 13193, Municipality of West Nipissing, from rural residential with hazard overlay to tourist commercial exception zone 2 hazard overlay, and that the tourist commercials exception zone 2 with hazard overlay include a provision requiring that all structures, including sheds, trailers, and decks attached thereto, temporary or permanent, be located a minimum of 10 meters from the property line.
We agree? Thank you.
No, Don, you get some.
Don?
Sorry, is this only against the residential land? Because half of it's commercial.
Only to the residential, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's all good.
Okay. Okay, we're all set. I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried.
And then can we get a vote on, so that was on the amendment, and now the vote on the file itself.
Okay, so now we'll vote for the amendment. Everybody in favor?
Voting for the motion.
For the motion. Okay, anybody in favor for the motion? Carried.
Okay. It is moved by Roland Larrabee and seconded by Dan Gagne. Be it resolved that the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 9th, 2025 be adjourned to October 14th, 2020.
Everybody in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have to
Thank
move
you.
on to our
Thank you.
other meeting.
Are you taking a break or going straight into it?
We will need to go off and.
Just a 2 minute just to get everything situated, if that's all right.
We have Jonathan and Campbell for
Jonathan will not be attending. Steph, are you able to turn the camera off? Yep.
How do I go off here? Yeah, there's something in the corner. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Oui.
What's new, Dan?
Non, j'essaie de dire bye-bye, là.
Bye-bye.
Allez.
Bye.
Using his wife's computer tonight.
Yeah, I don't have my phone.
Bye.
There.
Okay, so I'll call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for September 9, 2025. Anytime that somebody has a question, please raise your hand. So your name and address, so it could be added to the minutes of our meeting, okay? So we'll go with the any declaration of pecuniary interest? No? The adoption of the agenda.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the agenda for the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting of September 9th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
All good? Carried. The adoption of the minutes.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on August 7th be adopted as presented.
Everybody had a chance to read. All good. We'll bring it to the vote. Agreed. Carried. Now we'll move on to the applications. 5.1, number 1, C42/25, Joseph and Lise Menard.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot at 223 Locklear Road, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, and in the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality. So 3, Mr. Chair, this is the application on the screen here, and I'm just going to zoom in on it a bit because it's a bit hard to see. So this is the subject property here. This is the location of the proposed severed property. So it's an area just over 2 hectares, and then the retained would be 42 hectares. And then this is kind of the area of the property. So this is to take that existing dwelling out of the property.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I see that there are 2 separate applications that pertain to the same property. Why are they being handled as separate applications and not being handled as a two lot creation on the same application?
So the applicant has requested that because there are 2 separate application fees, one you pay for each lot, and given the requirements for the only permitting 2 lots to be created, they requested that they be filed as 2 separate ones. So there was a previous lot created in 2017. So this would be the second lot to come out of a property, and then the next one would be the third. So they wanted to ensure that just because they were going for 3, they get turned down for 1, but didn't get down for 2 of them, so that they could have separate votes for the second lot and the third lot. Makes sense. It's just to ensure that there's a separate vote for each one instead of because they propose 3,
Okay.
they don't even get the second.
Okay.
So we're still okay with doing separate? But
Yeah,
we can-
I
we
just
can
wanted to
vote-
understand what the.
And we can vote for both of them at the same time or one after the other. So any more questions from our panel? Any questions from the audience? No? I'll
Sorry, yeah, one more. Was there not a comment from MTO on these particular, or no, from Public Works? So the 10 meters from center. Can you just address the comments from Public Works on the application?
Yeah, so this is the standard condition that Public Works has, just that the roadway, we receive the transfer of the maintained and traveled road, so it be brought to the municipality.
all good? Go ahead.
Sorry, so currently this, where the new lot is being proposed, the municipality does not have ownership of that roadway and it will be transferred with the standard resolution to council.
That is correct, yes.
Or.
Go ahead, Paul.
Point of clarification, where the severance is being proposed, the road is actually still in the neighbor's pin. And we have no authority to survey the road in that location. We can survey the road once it crosses over the property line again back onto my client's property. But any section of, because we got right up against the existing road, it was already defined on a previous plan. If we find that that boundary is only, say, 7 meters from the center line, then yes, we will create a 3-meter wide strip to make sure that you have that full 10-meter width. But we wouldn't be able to survey the entire road in front of this property just because we have no authority to do so.
So you're talking about that corner lot that was previously created?
And yeah, so they acquired that little strip at that time between the road and their property line. I just don't know how, there's a few different ways to define a road. And in fact, the municipality got an opinion from your own municipal solicitor on, I believe Promenade Black, that the municipality's ownership only extends right just to the edge of the gravel. So maybe only a 6 or 7 meter wide road instead of 20 meters. It is within the purview of the committee through condition approval that you can dictate the width of the road to be transferred to you. And I'm just not sure on this old survey if they gave a full 20-meter wide road or whether they just surveyed perhaps to the backside of a ditch. And that's why I say at this point in time, we'll ensure that you do have a 10-meter wide road everywhere that is within our client's property. The 10 meters from center line, sorry.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, so I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried.
Yep.
Now we're doing the,
Yes, so the next one, it is, sorry, would you like to?
go ahead.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon, seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot at 223 Leclerc Road, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That the transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, and in the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled roadway be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled road, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of that within severance. So through Mr. Chair, I'm just putting it up here. So because they are very similar applications, like for the same property, that second condition is a bit of a double duty. It's already going to be done with the other one. But so this is it here. You can see that the previous lot was proposed just in this corner here to take the house out. This proposed lot is at the north portion of the property. Again, just over 2 hectares. You will note in the planning summary sheet that it is recommended to refuse because they have already had that second lot severed, so it does not comply with the official plan policies.
Any questions from our? I'll bring it, go ahead, Paul.
Perhaps I can address that issue too. First of all, the first lot was created in 2017 when the policies of the municipalities were grant 3 or more lots from an existing parcel. The official plan, although it says it, up to a maximum of 2 lots can be created. If you actually look at the actual wording of the official plan, it says a maximum of 2 lots can be created by way of severance. After that, then they direct you towards a subdivision. However, there is a further clause right in the very next section that says, and it's worded very clumsily and is very cumbersome, and sorry to Glenn, who's a friend of mine who wrote your former bylaw, official plan. but it says no additional lot will be permitted, I believe, if it approaches into a prime agricultural area. So to me, that was always the rationale for why even above the two, it specifically states additional. So if you've already got the two, it says you are permitted an additional. Now it words it in the negative instead of in the positive, but these are not prime agricultural lands, not encroaching into a prime agricultural area. And therefore, it's our opinion that we do satisfy the conditions of the official plan and we are in conformity with the policies. And it's been the past practice of the municipality for, I don't know, the last 15 or 20 years, which is also indicative of how the municipality has interpreted their own official plan.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Don?
A little history on this lot here. This is a family affair. The $32 million winner is giving lots to his second option is to do a subdivision. And we thought that to do one lot is absolutely ludicrous. But if that's the way we have to go, that's the way we will go. And I don't think there's much we can do about doing the subdivision part.
Well, you have option, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You would have an option of applying to do an additional residential unit at this point and doing it in such a way that a severance is permissible. And when the new official plan passes, you could then apply for a severance to take the house. So you could actually do a construction on it now with the approval of an additional residential unit, no?
If I may, they would be required to do a zoning bylaw amendment to do a detached accessory structure at this time. The policies do,
Well, this isn't a waterfront though.
It's still
no,
the same.
they're only permitted within the principal dwelling, which is why we've done a good amount of zoning amendments for that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's probably some
Yeah,
temporary ways around it, given that we're, a year out from a new official plan. I'm just throwing options out there, so.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but I'm also looking at, and again, I hate using this word because it gets used to me, past practice is that we've had these 3-4 severances in one lot. If they change ownership on that other lot, then what happens? Is it a beginning of a new? Like I don't understand the reasoning behind what we're doing, and we're still trying to figure it out. That's why we put in 2 applications, because in past meetings, we had the 2 refused when they're on 1 application. That is the whole reason why there's 2 applications.
Okay, thank you.
Not
So I have to bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Defeated. Okay, so we'll move on to the number 3, 44/25, Dial Lebeau.
it is moved by Campbell and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot at 367 Piquette Road, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice of consent. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, and in the event that any portion of the municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the within severance. So 3, Mr. Chair, just to pull it up here. As you can see, it is quite a large property. So I'll show you kind of the full extent right now. The retained land will be just over 62 hectares, and then they are proposing a 1.6 hectare lot, which will front onto Betty Road.
Okay. Can we see the little map,
Yep.
part of it? Any questions from our panel? So it's all bush, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any more questions from the public? No? I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Move on to number 4, I'm sorry, C45/25, Jean-Guy Gingras.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon, seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot with a right-of-way on Highway 64, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the registry office, and a copy of the new survey filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, that written confirmation be obtained from the MTO that an entrance permit can be issued for the subject property, that a written confirmation be obtained from a certified septic installer confirming that the severed and retained lands can accommodate individual private septic systems, that an Ontario land surveyor demonstrate to the municipality's satisfaction that there is a sufficient building envelope on the severed and retained lots, and that a preliminary environmental assessment and a wetland evaluation be carried out on the property to determine the nature of the wetlands and whether there is any species at risk or other natural heritage features located on the property. Any recommendations arising from such studies shall be incorporated into and form part of a site-specific rural residential exception zone. So 3, Mr. Chair, this application is for, so I'm just pulling it up here, the creation of one new lot with a proposed right-of-way. The intent is to have a shared access off of the highway. And you can see on the aerial, the property is quite significantly wet. It is identified in the provincial natural heritage mapping as unevaluated wetlands, which is why we have that condition there for the preliminary environmental assessment. It does look a bit misleading. The surveyors do believe that there is an ability to provide a sustainable building envelope within the area that is dry along the highway here. And I'm just trying to see if MTO have any major concerns with this.
So where the proposed right of way is that where the entrance is to the property now?
The
Yeah.
entrance, I believe, is approximately here. Right.
Okay. Any questions from our panel? Go ahead, Kathleen.
The subject land is currently vacant, like there's no structures or buildings on it.
There is currently, I will have to ask Dawn if it's a seasonal cottage or a year-round house, but there is one on the property.
The
So it's
shack.
probably,
It's a
Okay.
shack.
which is this little blue roof you see right here.
Okay.
Oh,
It's-
wow. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And there doesn't, just on the aerial mapping, there doesn't seem to, like, there's not a vision entrance there.
there is one. If you go onto the Google Street View, you can see that there is an
Okay.
entrance that exists there.
And so the right of way is being proposed at the same location as the current entrance.
That is correct.
Don, go ahead.
MTO legal. An MTO legal entrance. It's already
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from the audience? No? Go ahead, Don.
Can we see that map for the heritage, please?
Yeah, sorry, just give me one moment to pull it up on the. Sorry, if there's any other questions in the meantime while I pull this up on the.
No, we're just waiting for you, Samantha.
No. Okay. So this is the Make a Map Natural Heritage Area from the ministry. And you can see that the unevaluated wetland is along this portion of the property.
You okay, Don?
No, so it doesn't involve the stuff against the highway.
It does get quite close at,
But it doesn't
Some
involve,
point.
my question is, does it involve the building area which we're talking about does not involve that? It's not part of it.
the policies will apply to natural heritage features within 120 meters, which is why that's a concern.
Okay. Any more questions? No, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Okay, number 5, C46/25, Ravayan and Marie-Paul Rousseau.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot and a lot addition at Highway 64, Municipality of West Nipissing is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared, deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. That the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided. The cost of the apportionment shall be borne by the applicant, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they are being added, and a separate PIN consolidation to consolidate the retained lands. So this one's a bit of a funky one. So currently, the property line for this property, there's 2 properties here. That is not very large. So that's where the property line currently is. So you've got this smaller portion of property that's between the Highway 64 and this piece. And the challenge with this property is because of the depth of it, there really isn't a sufficient building envelope because it wouldn't be able to meet both setbacks. And then the portion that's to the south is landlocked by this parcel. So what this proposes to do, just gonna zoom in here a bit more. This portion of land that says lot addition is proposed to be added to the upper piece. And first they were going to sever this piece so kind of split the upper part in 2. And then this is going to be a lot addition to the severed. And because both of these properties are owned by the same people, the retained here and the retained to the south will then merge with that PIN consolidation. So essentially they're doing a bit of a swap so that you've got the one property that's got enough depth now to put a building on it, and then the other one is no longer landlocked. So that's what you've got with this. The MTO has provided a comment that they are concerned. See on the sketch, it says this previous MTO file, which is where Highway 64 used to be. They're concerned that the previous highway is still in MTO ownership. They haven't been able to confirm that yet and requested that the applicants provide confirmation to them that they do in fact own the parcel. But on the PIN map, which is with the Land Registry Office, that PIN does go right abutting. So the PIN indicates that it is in private ownership at this time.
Okay, but that's their problem. So we approve it, and if they can't figure out their relationship with MTO.
Yep.
That's on the applicant and it doesn't have.
If it is a concern, I would recommend that we would add another, sorry, I didn't get these comments until I believe today, so it couldn't be added into the conditions. Would recommend that we can add a condition that confirmation be received from MTO confirming that that previous highway is in private ownership. Otherwise, the retained land will have that split in it still, and now we're gonna have an even smaller piece that can't really be built on, so we're gonna have the same issue again.
Paul,
Well-
being your client, are you, do you have any worries about the,
Not a lot. It's not uncommon though for MTO to have their rights of way on private land. It's one of the very few areas in the land title system where there can be dual ownership of properties. Even if this was still in the MTO's name, we would acquire it from the MTO. Okay, see, it was the original road.
Yeah.
It's been abandoned since
that.
the new highway has been relocated further to the north. So really it's surplus lands of the MTO. So we would go through that process to acquire it from them. But even and as Ms. Willett said initially, because of the narrowness of the property, we can't meet both the front yard and rear yard setback. But if we're acquiring it and it is still in their title, we wouldn't have that same setback issue. The rear yard would now be the south end of the lot addition. So it does make a buildable lot even on the north side of the road. But
Okay.
We'll sort that out with the MTO.
okay, so you're okay if this goes through here?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions from our panel?
Maybe.
Don, go ahead.
I'm not sure are you adding a condition or not?
That would be
Nope.
the committee's decision to.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need to add a condition to it.
Okay, I don't see a condition in there in regards to the municipal, is this the property impacted by municipal drain? Because that's on the comments, but I don't see it in the planning. Oh, there it is. Thank you, sorry.
Slogan.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
We're good? I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried.
Mhm.
Move on to number 6, C47/25, Ethan and Carmel Giroir.
Thank you. It is moved by Kathleen Rochon, seconded by Kimball Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot at 916 Millwood Road, municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, and that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is simply a technical severance. Because the property owners also own the adjacent lands. They were merged on title and now they're looking to sell one of the original parcels. So just putting that property line back where it was when the property was initially created. The road to the north does not extend past this severed land. However, there is sufficient frontage on Michelle Road, so there's no concern at that time.
Okay. Any questions from our panel? Nope. I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. We'll go back to shows. C48/25, Ravayan Maricol Russo.
Thank you. It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of 2 new lots at 9864 Highway 64, Municipality of West Nipissing is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meter from the center line of the maintained and traveled road, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the within severance. The municipal clerk shall, pursuant to Section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided. The cost of the apportionment shall be the applicant. And lastly, that prior to the issuance of a certificate of consent for the severed two, the waste management influence area holding zone be lifted. So the proposed application here is to create 2 lots to the south of this property. Each lot is about 6.5 hectares. The challenge with this one is kind of kitty corner to the property is one of the waste facilities. So there is a 500-meter holding zone on the property that essentially doesn't permit any structures. Because of where that hits, there isn't a concern with severed 1 because there's a sufficient building envelope outside of that influence area. Almost the entirety of severed 2 is within that holding overlay, so there wouldn't be a building envelope there, which is why there's this condition for severed 2 that they would have to remove that holding zone before the certificate could be issued. There is a note in the planning summary sheet somewhat outlining what that process would be. So they would have to submit a groundwater and surface water study and a methane gas migration study, essentially to demonstrate that there's no public health risk, there's no leaching on this property that would pose a concern for a residential development on the property. And to go through that process and lift the holding would be a very similar process to the zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay, go ahead, Kathleen.
I do have questions just in regards to process, because I don't believe we've dealt with any application quite like this before. So the process to lift the holding zone, and that's a decision of the municipality or of council, or
Yeah, so
it's not done through MOE, like is there any requirement to provide that info? I just don't understand because landfills are quite regulated by MOE, so it's a new process for us. I'd just like to understand that a little better.
Yeah, so the official plan policies and then our waste management influence area zoning holding zone on the property are aligned with the D4 guidelines, which handle that proximity to landfills. So they would need to do those studies that I said, essentially proving that there isn't any contamination, there hasn't been leaching, that's safe to put a sensitive land use there. They would submit those documents with their zoning bylaw amendment application, because the way that the waste management influence area is done is through a holding zone. So that's kind of like an overlay put on the property. And then they apply for a zoning bylaw amendment, and then it goes through the circulation process, very similar to what a zoning bylaw is. And provided that they can demonstrate all that successfully, then it would come back to PAC as a zoning bylaw amendment. We'd go through that process, then it would go to council, and council would pass a bylaw to lift the holding off that property. And then it would essentially be a rural residential property at that time.
Okay, thank you. And in regards to the living waste management facility, I guess my concern is more at the council, and so maybe I don't need to ask these questions here, but we obviously have capacity studies and we have information that helps us understand what the municipalities landfill needs are, whether there's whether living is near capacity. I don't have that information in front of me. Like, so is there any concern that if that were all to happen and that were to go ahead, if 10 years down the line we find we need to do an expansion of the cell or something like that, would it impact our ability to manage that waste facility once that house is there, like once it's built that close to the dump?
So there's each landfill needs to have an environmental compliance approval, an ECA.
Mhm.
And through that ECA, it outlines where kind of your perimeter is of your waste transfer. The site, sorry, just give me one moment and I'll pull it up on the aerial here.
Don, you had a question?
Yeah.
It's just a comment. There's a house before that lot. So you have to deal with the house that's closer to the landfill site, not that one.
That is
There's a-
correct.
There's a house
Thank
in
you.
between the two.
Thank you.
And I will also add that when you look at sorry, I'm just pulling it up here. When you look at the location of the landfill, it is like there is significant room to build
Yeah.
to the south still. So there, if need be, it could be expanded.
I
away
just want
from
to make sure we're considering the needs of the municipality as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
Thinking ahead, thank you. Those are my questions, Mr. Chair.
so that's a landfill on the south side of La Fresnel.
Yes, it is this here. And then so the perimeter of that area right now is, you can kind of see
Yeah.
it's right around there. So there is some room to the south and
Okay. Any more questions from our panel? Any questions from the audience? I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Okay, number 8, C49/25, Stéphane Ouellet, and Micheline C.
Yeah. It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of one new lot at 390 Highway 575, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, and in the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled roadway be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, the retained lands shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the severance. The proposed lot, sorry, I'm pulling it up here, has an area of almost 4 hectares. It's in this north corner here. You will see that in the south corner, there was a previous lot created that was done in 2018. And I do believe that we did acquire the parts of the maintained and traveled roadway at that time, but just as a assurance, it's in this as a condition as well.
Yeah. Quite a big property.
I believe Don's just handler. Okay.
Don?
You did it on LaBrusse Road. There was you never got the road on LaBrusse. That was a plan done before and the municipality never got it.
So we'll catch it through this one. It is a condition now.
Thank you, Don.
Just have one question. Well, is it the intention for the frontage of this lot to remain on 575, or is it the intention for the lot to switch in front onto LaBrusse?
I think technically the narrower of the two sides of a corner lot is considered the frontage in terms of
Okay.
side yard, rear yard, front yard setbacks. But I believe the MTO would want us to bring the driveway in off LaBrusse rather than off 570.
Mr. Chair, that was the kind of purpose of my question. I think it's better served entrance off the side street than on the highway, so that is.
The MTO did not provide comments on this one, but that is in their kind of highway corridor management manual, that where there's the ability to access off of a non-highway, that's where they would go to. Okay. That is a possibility here for sure.
Right, thank you.
Okay, anybody in favor? Carried. Number 9, C50/25, Claude Legault.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of 2 new lots and a right-of-way on Highway 575, municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. That written confirmation be obtained from the Ministry of Transportation that an entrance permit can be issued for the subject property. Written confirmation be obtained from a certified septic installer confirming that the severed and retained lands can accommodate individual private septic systems. And finally, that an OLS demonstrate to the municipality's satisfaction that there is a sufficient building envelope which is above the flood elevation and that there is safe access to said building envelope on the severed and retained lots. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application, you'll note in the planning summary sheet that there's a recommendation for partial approval. So the application is proposing 2 new lots, and then the retained lands would be accessed through a right-of-way over Severed 2. It's a very interesting plan. So you can see on this slide, and there's comments in the agenda as well from OPG. So the area that I've highlighted in red on this map, there is an easement for flooding from OPG. So that does take up a significant portion of the property. And then what's highlighted in blue and purple where they overlap, that is inundated land, so flooded lands. So you can see the Severed 1 parcel does have a fairly significant building envelope. I believe it's around 2,000 square meters. So I don't have as big of a concern with that one. I do believe, obviously, provided that the conditions are met and they can prove that there's room for the building and for the septic, that could be accomplished. The concern that I have with this is the Severed 2, and then having enough area for the building on the retained lands. The applicants have clarified that the intent is for the building envelope on Severed 2 to be in this area here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see my mouse.
Point again, please. Yeah.
Okay. Right around here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Goodridge did walk the property, and I can show you some photos of his hike in a bit.
I had seriously signed me.
No problem. And then they've clarified that the intent is for the building envelope on the retained lands to be at this rear portion. The property owner has already begun constructing a bit of a private road driveway situation through the property, and I believe it's to about here at this time, to be able to access this building envelope. There is a small bit of water in this area. So the concern is just ensuring that there is actually a sufficient envelope given the watercourse setbacks and the flooding and a lot of different restrictions there that may not be possible to have a sufficient building envelope. And the MTO has also provided comment on this. So there's an existing driveway on Severed 1 that would need to be shifted a bit, which shouldn't be a problem. And then Severed 2 would require a new entrance. And the MTO did provide comments that they do have a concern that sorry, I'm just going to read it right from the email. Although this location meets the access requirements for mutual access, the ministry does have a concern with the constructability at this location due to steep slopes, drainage requirements, and the need for infilling a watercourse. It is the responsibility of the landowner to ensure he will meet all policies and standards from the MTO and any other agency having jurisdiction. And with that, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Obviously, Paul,
Yeah, just a quick addition and the right of way that's shown after walking the property and identifying the red circle where it says Severed 2 as being the prime buildable area. Rather than the right of way stopping at the west boundary of Severed 2. Wherever we wind up surveying it and it's actually located. If it goes beyond onto the retained land, of course, we're going to extend right-of-way coverage over that land as well for Severed Two. So it'd be a cross right-of-way benefiting both the retained and Severed Two. The MTO has simply asked that the existing entrance be relocated 20 meters to the west, and that there's absolutely no physical impediment to doing so. So Claude will be working on that. And then their standard is a minimum of 30-meter separation between the new driveway location and the right-of-way driveway location, I'll call it. And both, there's a little bit of fill required to come up to the highway for the second entrance, but nothing major. In terms of certifying that we're above the floodplain elevation.
Yeah.
I don't foresee any difficulties whatsoever in the photo gallery that I took. I have one where I'm standing on the driveway, looking straight at where the backhoe is located. Isn't that a charming picture? There's the driveway that's being constructed.
Okay.
There is a culvert that's required. That was on the top view. And just, sorry, if you can just pan back up a little bit, as well. All right, keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. Just a little further so we get rid of the grumpy look. I almost looked as bad as Dawn there, don't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's the culvert to be installed. When it sits out in the field like that, you don't really get an idea of the scale. That's why the picture with the grumpy guy shows that culvert actually comes up to my shoulder. With my boots on, I'm a little over 6 feet tall, so it's roughly a 5-foot diameter culvert. So it's more than adequate sizing for the OPG to ensure that we don't impede their functionality of their overflow ponds. You'll notice the soil conditions are all sand, very suitable for septics and building. And in fact, Marcel Rive has also come to the site. He's helping with the road construction, but he's also provided a letter of certification that we have room on both Severed One, Severed Two, and the retained for both a principal and a replacement bed on the sites.
Sure.
And if you'll notice from the mapping, the OPG lands, those were based exactly on their 1929 survey. But when you look at the configuration compared to where the wetlands are, it's pretty obvious it should have all been shifted maybe a little to the west, but it is what it is. As a result, there is a good channel where Ms. Willock is drawn on the red line to be able to come up, even though it's within that floodplain area. It really isn't, and we will certify that it's above that elevation where the driveway gets constructed. Up above the land is huge, also where it says Part 1 on the very south section of the Sturgeon River. That's also a suitable area for a building lot. And this is a very, very large property. So I believe I measured the distance from where Severed Two is, from the S to the east edge of the two, is about 240 feet roughly, which is more than adequate for being able to build a structure in that location. So,
Thank you.
and it's also heavily timbered, which is shown in the photographs. The most important photograph is actually the last one. Can you go right to the end, Sam? That one.
That one?
That's a picture of my boots after I walked from one end to the other. And you can see how dry they are. And in fact, there's still a little bit of the clay on my boots from yesterday's hike. But just to, firmly demonstrate that it isn't necessarily a wet area. And that wasn't just from being on the driveway. I walked the bush as well on Severed Two, where the proposed house location would be.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah, I just have one. I guess, my biggest concern is in the retained area. The structure would be to be constructed there. The provision of emergency services and stuff like that would be in, like, that's a pretty long roadway, right? Like, so that house really wouldn't. I mean, are fire trucks gonna be able to get down there, or, that, I don't know, that's I don't know, like, that's my,
To me, you can build wherever you are, if the,
Yeah.
if the.
but I, you know,
can't
like,
go,
we
you'll-
were
you'll burn
talking.
To the ground.
We were talking during our official plan sessions in regards to, clearly stating if, there are impacts to the provision of services. So obviously, on a right of way like that, retained one would be bringing their garbage and their recycling down to the highway.
Of course.
And it's just, I don't know. Like, is there a concern there? Am I just seeing something that's not there?
No, that is fair. We did not receive any comments from the fire services.
Okay.
If there were to be fire service access at this property, the road would need to be built to sufficient standards to be able to safely get the truck through that property, and there would need to be a sufficient sized turnaround at the end.
And is that addressed during process, like the building permitting process? Or like,
It could be looked at.
Well, I can just-
If that is a concern, we can look at adding it as a condition that there be like an inspection by fire services, but
no,
likely-
if it's standard to what we do, I'm just looking at, I don't know, is there a liability risk to the municipality? If we allow a building to be constructed that is not accessible by our emergency services. So let's say that there is a house built in that corner. And although the right of way is built to accommodate regular residential traffic, there is a need to pull big fire trucks in there, and we are unable to get to that. And we do not provide that fire service. Is there a liability issue? I'm just trying to understand what our responsibility is as a municipality and how we protect ourselves from liability that might arise from that.
I don't believe that there was. I could confirm that with our fire services, but again, we do build properties on islands.
Yeah, well,
There's some
that's-
properties that
that's
don't
just
have
it.
access,
Yeah.
and it's just recognizing that there is
Well,
limited to
there's-
potentially no
Okay.
service available.
Oh,
Go ahead.
If I may, Madam Mayor. The road itself,
mhm,
we're getting on, right?
mhm.
This right of way and essentially private property beyond that. You know, if the driveway is 2,000 feet long,
Yeah, so do we only have a requirement to provide services up to the municipally maintained, or in this case, provincially maintained road? I don't know.
The official response to that, but I do concur with Swillick. Like we allow buildings on islands and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we do have our fire.
Okay, as long as there's just a recognition
Yeah,
that.
our fire services.
Able to provide service.
Yeah, our fire services do have equipment to get on islands and whatnot, on all seasons.
Yeah.
But we also have unmaintained municipal roads that
Mhm.
our fire services can't get to year round.
Yeah.
And they still allow building permits. Yeah.
Islands are one thing, right? Because we have boats. A flooded field of clay is another thing. We're not getting a boat across that, so I have concerns with that as well.
I don't know.
Yeah, should I be?
Can you? My name's Lowly, with Ivy, from River Valley. I went, and this is what we used to do when I was in construction business for Goodall Lumber. We built roads for transport to go in, empty and come out full load, which is 40 to 50 ton weight. And it's not, it's not big science to build a road to the condition for a truck to go in, and also the fire department to have 3/4 ton pickup trucks that are equipped. But all roads should be built to a standard that a big truck fully loaded with water should have access. And it's not science that cannot be made. No, it's very doable.
I wouldn't hold up the application for that, but just from a general,
Yeah.
like,
And
whether we need to think about how we write policy just to.
Yep.
Address whether or not where services are provided. Thank you.
the 3/4 ton trucks do not fight fires. The 3/4 tons do not fight fires.
Yes.
They're,
We have one in River Valley. We have a 3/4 ton truck fully equipped with a tank. And it's passes insurance.
Okay.
And there's a few stations that are equipped with those trucks. In the springtime when it's soft, that's the ones we send in.
okay, all I know was Manette though. Okay.
And perhaps further to that same point as well, these are all waterfront properties, whether they're on the pond or on the river. So they'd be able to bring in fire pumps, which are just, the size of a generator. And you'll be able to draw from the water body that's right next to the house.
Thank you.
Okay, Don?
The thing I'm looking at is what everybody's talking about is a driveway going to a property. I can see the right of way to get to the property being up to standards. But does that mean you guys are looking at policies for driveways that people have to go in all the way into the shore road allowance if they own 100 acres? Are we talking about standards like that? Like that's done all over the municipality. And you have driveways of that length. I'm noticing everybody's reading there. I'm just trying to get an answer to the question of where we're going.
No, I think that it is a standard, and if it's on your property, obviously you can build wherever you want, as long as you're within your guidelines, so I don't have an issue.
But as we saw, sorry, go ahead,
Yeah.
Paul.
Sorry, Don, I was gonna say, it may also get picked up as an extra provision on the homeowner's insurance.
Insurance, absolutely.
That, they may have to pay a higher premium because.
Absolutely.
And I was just saying, if everybody saw the way the road was being built, I'm pretty sure we can get a fire truck down there.
Not a problem. Okay, I want to bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to number. This was number 9, right? Number 10. C 51/25, Elizabeth Cronk.
It is moved by Kathleen Marchand and seconded by Campbell Anderson. Be it resolved that the consent application for a lot addition at 32 Plant Road, municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before September 10th, 2027, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that a transfer to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. The municipal clerk, pursuant to section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided, the cost of which shall be borne by the applicant, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the land registry office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they are being added. So 3, Mr. Chair, this is a fairly simple application, essentially just doing a lot addition because they're looking to clear an existing encroachment. The dwelling for this property, there we go, to the north is on the proper property. And then these 2 outbuildings that have encroached onto the southern parcel. So just looking to do a small lot area in order to just address the concerns there.
Okay, so we're adding severed to
This
that.
portion.
Okay,
Yeah, and the retained land does have access to Plant Road.
Okay.
At the eastern end.
on the other side.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from our panel? Straightforward. I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Agreed. Okay, we'll go to the minor variance application. MV 2025/16, Michelle and Denise Shane.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to reduce the minimum lot area from 1 hectare to 0.18 hectare and to reduce the minimum lot frontage from 60 meters to 21.3 meters for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. It meets the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property. And in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. So the application here, this property is getting very familiar to everyone, I'm sure. Last month was the lot addition of the rear lands to the property that fronts onto Canal Road. And as a condition of that lot addition, they did need to come in for a minor variance to legalize the size of the retained lands. You can see from the map that it is in line with the size of the adjacent lands. This parcel was initially created as this size that's being proposed now. And then the rear portion was added onto it, and now it's just kind of being passed on to the next person. So the house, the septic, everything was installed when it was that smaller lot, so everything is contained within the proposed lot.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Kathleen.
So there are permanent structure, like those are permanent structures that are built on this property, like there's no new building permit being issued on this.
That is correct. Yeah, it's all existing.
It's just. I get it. So they were all separated into these small lots to accommodate individual cottages that were there
Yes.
before.
Right.
Then they added on the back lot from somebody else, and now they're selling off the back lot again, and they're going back to what was before.
Exactly, yeah. Lots of moving pieces going on around here.
Okay, and it's minor in nature, so.
And there's no new construction.
There's nothing to talk
All
about.
right, Joe. Any more questions? No, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Now we'll do the,
No, we
Sorry,
have
we
one
have
more.
one more.
oh, is that, I'm sorry. I see it now. Number 2, NV 2025/17, you and Brendan Shedd.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon, seconded by Campbell Anderson. It is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to increase the maximum lot coverage for accessory structures from 10% to 12% for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. It meets the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through Mr. Chair, the property has an existing single detached dwelling and a detached garage. Property owner over the past few years has been using one of those park coverall buildings and continuously has to replace it. So they're proposing to construct a lean-to, almost like a carport off the side of the structure. I do believe that they are looking at potentially enclosing the exterior side as well, just to be able to store, I believe it's a tractor and a lawnmower. I don't have any concerns with that. It is a minor addition and it's likely an improvement because then you're not seeing a tarp building and hearing the tarp building, and you're not having that outdoor storage.
I have no problem with that. Any questions from our panel?
It's attached? Oh, it's attaching to the existing.
The existing
I see.
garage.
Yes.
Okay, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Now the adjournment.
It is moved by Campbell Anderson, by Kathleen Shaw, be resolved that the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned to October 14th, 2025.
October 14th.
Yes.
All good? Carried.
Thank you.
Good night.
Happy birthday.